This episode of Lenses and Lyrics is brought to you by Imagine, the AI post-production tool built for professional photographers. Whether you're culling hundreds of photos or editing full galleries, Imagine helps you get your time back by learning your style and handling the heavy lifting. That means less time behind the screen and more time doing what you love, like growing your business or rocking out with your band. Check them out at lenseslyrics.com/imagine. That's IMAGEN. Work smarter, not harder, with AI assistance and intelligent automation from Imagine. Garret, this is going to be really fun. I want to just kick things off. You've got this project, and photography collide. Or I think I'm going to call it a project because I don't know anything about it except you just shared with me like 2 weeks ago or something. And musicians, I was blown away because it's really good. For sound, it looks and sounds like there's a band through the lens. And I'm not sure if it's a side project, if it's a band, if it's just you or what. Don Dawson, what the heck is it, and how long have you been doing it? What's this whole story behind that?
Yeah. So Don Dawson is just me. Really, I chose the name because I needed something else to call it because I didn't want SEO results to be muddied by it. So yeah, it's just me. It's, I guess, a project, a passion project is a good term for it. Yeah, I needed a way to just, do something with music. And that was the outlet that I found. So I started writing my own music. I play all the instruments. I record all the instruments. I produce it all. I do have a friend, Dave, who mixes everything for me because I'm just not very in tune with what needs to be done. But he's got that covered. But yeah, everything else is really just comes from a place of wanting to be creative in a way that isn't going to be seen by thousands of people every day, which is what wedding photography is for me. So yeah, it's more of just a release and a way to express myself in a different way, I guess, as cliche as that sounds.
It's great. And is this your first time? Is Don Dawson your first time doing recordings, and or were you in a band with other people prior to, at some point in your history?
Yeah, like 12 years old, 13 years old. My neighbor Chris and me would make up bands all the time, and it was always just the two of us. We just have different names. So yeah, I was like playing music with friends. I was in a little bit more of a serious band, I guess, just post-college. We only ever played 2 shows, so I don't have a lot of experience in playing in bands, but I always have been interested in recording. My grandfather, from as early as I can remember, 2-3 years old, would record us singing, and I would listen to it back with him, and just hearing those voices on tape was fascinating to me at the time. So I always had that in me to want to record and hear it back. Then once, Windows Audio Recorder, whatever it was back on Windows XP, once I discovered that, and you could like change the speed of things and reverse it, I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. So I would say, around like 12, 13 is when I got into like recording and actually producing, I guess, music, very loosely producing music. I did also have a 4-track tape recorder that I would plug, directly plug my guitar into and like record a rhythm part and then record a lead part. And I thought I was the coolest kid in school for that. But yeah, that's like, I guess that would be my origin of it. Really comes from just like that curiosity.
Yeah, that's great. That's in a similar way. That's how podcasting came to be for me. I remember very clearly, and I wish I had these tapes, but I remember very clearly growing up, and there was a girl on my street that we would get together and just grab my parents' boombox, hit record, and record fake radio shows as kids. Like, that's great. Yep. I don't remember what they were about or anything, and I'm sure they were absolutely horrible but super cute as a kid. But like, so I like to say I've been podcasting before podcasting was a thing, because there you go. But yeah, so it's great that you've been doing it for so long, and now you've got this music that doesn't muddy the waters as far as the SEO goes for your photography. That is under your own name,
Yes.
And it's very smart to choose a persona, so to speak, for a different art. So you're not hurting each other for yourself.
Yeah. And honestly, I only have maybe like 20 Spotify listeners. So the SEO thing is like, if huge if it was ever to get bigger, then it would get in the way. But I don't foresee that ever happening.
If you're keeping it as a passion project that you're mainly doing for your own creative brain, and if other people find it great, then you know that's all that matters. Like, you're doing it for yourself, you know.
Exactly.
That's why this podcast exists, right? I'm doing it for myself because you know, there's so many photographers that have a music crossover, and I'm like, this has to exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
So was there
it's a great idea?
Yeah, was there a specific shift at some point where you're like, okay, I love music as a kid, but I want to do photography? Like, how did that come to be, where you spent a lot of your childhood playing music, but that's not what you pursued?
I wouldn't say there was a crossover, but a lot of my childhood was kind of split between, I guess, visual arts and music. I was always really big into drawing. And then around that same time when I got into music and recording, 12 years old, I was really big into skateboarding. So like making videos with my friends, like skate tapes, that was my like bread and butter, so to say. So a lot of my visual background comes from those skateboarding days, which were happening at the same time as the music. And I guess maybe, you know, like those friends influenced some of the music that I was listening to at that time. But I can't say there's like a distinct moment or like instance where they crossed over and was like, okay, like I see these two things happening and there's a connection there.
Okay, that's perfectly good. That's perfectly good. We've all got our own path. So how involved are you? Because you're very involved in the photography community, especially locally, right? You're part of the Imagine community.
Proudly.
And are you maybe not equally involved in the music communities, but maybe at some way are you involved in music communities, whether online or local, or like offline locally, or things like that?
Not so much right now. I'm like doing the most I can not to promote my music, truly, because like I said, like it's a passion project and I don't want it to get to a point where I feel like I need to do anything. So I'm kind of just laying low on the music front. The people I talk to, I share my music with. But before I was making music, early on in my photography days, I was big in the local music scene in photography. So a lot of the people that I know now, people I'm good friends with, came from just like going to venues and asking if I could shoot their band. Dave, one of the guys I mentioned before who mixes my music, is the guitarist in the very first band I ever photographed. So like those connections have stuck with me a long time, which is really cool. And that was like 10, 15 years ago now at this point.
Can you name drop his band? What the band was?
Oh man. Okay. So that band was Ascending from Ashes. Really, really cool, like local metal band. He's currently though in, I guess, a deathcore band, but they're getting really big. Like they're on tour right now. They just got signed to Sumerian Records. Face Yourself.
Face Yourself. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to pull them up. I'll add that to the show notes. So we're both in Jersey, and you know, so there's definitely has been for years, still is, the New Jersey hardcore scene still exists. I spent most of my youth in the punk scene in Jersey, played a lot of shows and stuff. And there's one Facebook group that is still pretty active. It's the New Jersey Pop Punk group that even during COVID, they had, what are the Quarantunes was the name, that's what they named it. And it was just, they'd get different musicians from the scene from the 90s to early 2000s, grab their acoustic guitar and just put on a show through was it a Zoom? It might have been a Zoom. And this is when the Zoom app added the music feature. So it changed the way that it does the EQ and the compression to allow people to hear the music better through the internet.
I didn't even know that
Yeah,
existed.
it's buried in the sound settings that literally COVID's what made that happen, because so many things were happening
Wow.
during that. It was anyway, so as far as like community
Yeah.
goes, I find that has been really fantastic to like bring back memories and like chat with people you spend a lot of your childhood with and stuff. It's always fun.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, I might know a few people in that group.
Have you noticed the way that you approach music has impacted the way that you approach your photography in any way? Is there any similarities to the way you approach both?
Definitely. And I don't think it came from the way that I make music, but the way that I consume music. And I'm very much an album listener. Like, all of my favorite bands are my favorite bands because of their albums, not because of certain songs, not because of their live performances or their technical abilities, because of their albums and the way that they make me feel, the stories that they tell sonically and lyrically. So, with that always being my approach to listening to music, that's kind of how I want my wedding clients to consume their photos. Not as, singles or like the Instagram posts, like the wow photos, but as each little moment as its own song, take it. And there's, 15 to 20 photos of that moment that tell that story and sing that song. And then we move on to the next one, and they all flow together, but there are the ebbs and flows and the highs and lows that make a good music album that also make a good wedding photo album or photo gallery. Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest connection between the two.
When you do your album sales, do you ever bring that up? Like, do you ever approach the conversation as, think of this as your album and like your music album, not your album, and basically just going along with what you just said, but to your clients? Do you ever approach it like that?
That's pretty much how one of the things that I say in every first consultation.
That's so good.
In a different way, but I always try to bring it to that, because music is something that I can really talk passionately about, and a lot of other people can too. So I find that's a good like convergence point to take it from like small talk to business. So it is something that I bring up a lot.
And I think it's a great analogy, if that's what you want to call it. And it can work with any genre of music your client might like the new Taylor Swift album, right? That just dropped, 2 weeks ago from the time when we're recording this. And within 4 hours, all the Swifties listen to the whole album and know all the words by heart. They listen to the entire album in one sitting.
Yes. My 8-year-old daughter included in that. Yes.
So it's relatable for anybody. I love that method of selling a photo album to clients. Such a good way. That is a fantastic crossover between the two arts for sure.
Thanks, man. I never really thought too much about it.
I also wonder if from times when you have performed maybe in front of people to how you approach recording and playing the music, has that impacted the way you photograph people?
I guess maybe in a way, in terms of recording music, where again, the same way with an album, it's not about like the hits, it's about an overall feel. And when I'm recording, I don't try to get it perfect. And the same goes for when I'm shooting. Like, I really just want to be connected with what these people are feeling to get that through in the photos, rather than like, I should be at f4 instead of 5.6, or, this lens is a little too wide. No, that's neither here nor there for me. If I can make someone feel what that moment felt like, that's priority number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for me.
Are there any struggles that you have experienced in your time with music that might have replicated themselves or shown similarity on the photography side?
Dang, this is a hard one, because I don't try to like, I try not to let struggles affect me with music, because I'm using it as such like a fun thing. So if I'm stuck, I just stop and I move to something else, or I'll just like go outside. So music truly, knock on wood, has been so fun for me, and I have honestly have not faced any struggles.
That's good.
I can't answer that.
Yeah,
honestly.
no, that's good. Yeah, I find that when I sit down to write something, and I feel stuck. So I have a subscription to Ultimate Guitar, like the tab website.
Yeah, me too.
I love when they give 80% off. That is like $20 for
every day.
And what I'll do if I'm like trying to write something and I'm stuck, I stop trying to write and I just pull up something to play as a cover and just stop thinking about the writing aspect and just play. And
you know what I like to do too is like if I'm writing something in a certain genre, I'll just go to a completely different genre and listen to like 3 hours of music in that genre. And then I'll come back and I'll have a whole different approach to like what's wrong or what needs to be done to that piece.
I'm a big fan of if I'm trying to write something with lyrics and, you know, a catchy chorus or something, put on jazz. Nothing with words.
Yes. Oh,
just freestyle.
Yes.
Like
all over the place.
Have you ever heard Medeski, Martin and Wood? I wish they still played. They don't play anymore.
I can't say
they're like true free jazz. It's like almost like the Fish or Grateful Dead of jazz. They are wonky all over the place. No lyrics though. It's all instrumental. You need to check it out. It's like the craziest.
Please send it to me.
Jazz. Yeah, I love them. Do you have any specific songs or records that inspire your photography specifically? Something that maybe if you're at a wedding, like Sam Hurd, for example, he listens to heavy metal in his AirPod Pros at weddings. And he talks about in his episode on Lenses and Lyrics, instead of listening to the band or the DJ at the wedding and the cheesy wedding songs, but also at the same time, there's also maybe music that might inspire the editing side or the culling side. Is there any specific songs or albums that inspire your photography one way or another?
You're going to laugh at this, but the way that I pick my music for editing is based on how long the album is and how long I want to work for. So if I feel like I want to work for, let's say 2.5 hours, I'll pick 2 albums by the same band that fall right around that time frame and then just listen to those. So it's a grab bag a lot of the time. At weddings, I do love to listen to pretty heavy stuff. Death metal, black metal, as heavy as I can go, because I just need a break. Like as fun as it is to be at a wedding reception, sometimes I just need a break from will.i.am and Bruno Mars for a little bit and just get into my zone for a little.
The way that Sam described it, because I don't photograph weddings these days. I stopped a long time ago, but the way that he described it is hilarious. It's you're listening to metal, but then they're dancing to whatever it is. And he said the best part is when it actually syncs up, but it doesn't make sense, but it also makes sense.
I used to take videos of receptions, people dancing, and then put the music that I was listening to in my earbuds. And it was hilarious seeing like people dancing to "I Want to Dance with Somebody," but then hearing Gojira. So I totally know what you're talking about.
I'm excited to hear this one because you've been leaning towards the metal side of things, which is cool. Mm-hmm. And now, if you could photograph any musician, band, past or present, who would it be and why?
Right. I mean, I would love to have been able to photograph Pink Floyd on the original Wall tour just because of the set design. I'm going to go a little bit more niche on this one, though, because that's the cool thing to do. Foxy Shazam.
Okay.
They're a kind of like an American rock band out of Cincinnati. But the singer, Eric Nally, his antics on stage he's all over the place, swinging from chandeliers. He used to take cigarettes from people in the crowd, light a bunch of them in his mouth, and then eat them when they're lit. Like, the guy is insane, and their music is super fun too, and the crowd engagement, just everything about it That's like
Yeah.
peak for
Okay.
me in terms of performances.
And would it be media press type photos, portraits, or would it be like concert?
That's a good question, because then that if like the behind the scenes is available to me, I would love to follow Brandon Flowers, the singer from The Killers, on like a studio day, because I love his work ethic and just what he brings to the table in the studio in terms of songwriting, producing, performing. He's really versatile, and I admire a lot of what he does. So I would love to be able to like really get the inner workings of that and give back to the world the way that he gives back and show everybody his process. I think that would be like such an honor.
Cool. I like.
Yeah. So that's number one.
That's a good variety of different things, like starting with Pink Floyd, but a specific tour, moving on to this like wacky Foxy Shazam. I gotta listen to that music now, and then move into Brandon from The Killers. That's a good variety. That's a good variety, depending on the situation.
It's the spice of life.
Similarly, is there a specific song or album that kind of brings back memories from a wedding you shot, or a engagement session you might have done, or something like that? Or even if you photographed a band once before, is there a specific song or album that sort of brings back a really nice memory from the photography side?
I don't know about a memory, but it maybe one day will be a memory. Father-daughter dances. Usually they're like country songs, and I try to like country sometimes, and I just really don't.
Johnny Cash is a whole nother. He's
yeah. I mean, there are exceptions for sure. Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson. Like, I grew up listening to those through my dad, and those are all cool with me. But not even like one specific song, but the emotion that I feel, and definitely biased because I'm a girl dad. The emotion I feel during the father-daughter dances, no matter the song, it's always beautiful. It's always like a really nostalgic feeling song. That always like hits me really hard. And I always come back to that feeling when editing. And I feel like those photos, just because of that feeling, they always get a little bit extra attention. So I wouldn't say it's one specific song or album, but one musical moment in the day for sure.
A quick story. My older brother, who's my best friend, I have two brothers. My younger brother no longer lives in New Jersey, but my older brother lives like down the road from me. He and my sister-in-law met to Ben Folds' song The Luckiest at one of his friends' weddings. And then they got married, and their first dance song was The Luckiest, of course. A few years back, pre-COVID, when Photo Plus Expo was still a thing, Ben Folds actually spoke on behalf of Sony and did a whole hour and a half, whatever, talk. Super inspiring, super fun. And afterwards, he stood around and talked to people. And I got the nerves calmed and went over, and I had to thank him because that song means so much to our family, you know?
Wow, yeah.
And so it's very touching that I was able to like share that with him and then get a photo with him, of course. But
that's like a dream of mine, to be able to personally thank some of my favorite musicians. That's awesome.
It was so cool. Nice. Plus his talk about photography was just really cool.
I would love to hear that. I saw him play last year, I want to say, and he did a set of all requests. Like, that's so cool. I never heard of anything like that.
Yeah, he's just a cool dude. Just a very cool dude.
Yeah.
All right. Here comes some really fun ones.
All right.
If your photography style was a genre of music, what would it be and why?
All right. I guess, I mean, it's based in rock, but it's very avant-garde, very dynamic. There's a lot of dynamic shifts. So I guess like some kind of like pop punk prog rock.
Okay. Yeah.
New genre.
All right. If you had to choose, now I know that your music is not a focus business-wise, but let's say you got an offer from a very large band to open for them. Okay? You had a backing musicians to learn your stuff and all that stuff. You had a choice between playing a music gig wherever the venue is, but you're getting paid for it to open for this huge band, let's say the Killers.
Okay.
Or getting paid really well to shoot a wedding, and they were scheduled at the same time, same price and everything. Which would you choose? And tell me about that decision.
Oh man, so easy. So easy. Music. I would be on stage opening for the Killers in a heartbeat. And that's not because I don't like weddings. I love shooting weddings, and I love like a good highlight wedding. Like, you know, those highlight weddings. But I've only played on stage like 3 times in my life. So like that experience will never ever come to me on my own accord. I'll never earn that. But I could earn some awesome weddings, and I have. So I have some faith.
I also think like enough weddings that you could skip a wedding. You'll be right.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid to be on stage. Come on.
Which instrument would you play if this was the thing and you had a backing band to do the rest?
I would play guitar. I feel most comfortable on guitar. Yeah. Plus, you could like kick and jump, spin, and do fun stuff on guitar. Yeah.
My last question for you: what is one piece of advice you'd give to a musician who is thinking about picking up a camera for the first time, or let's say they have a camera, they know photography, and they're thinking about starting their business now? What's one piece of advice for that musician?
So one thing that I used to do, and I never I didn't share it, I didn't make it public, but I would listen to an album over and over the course of a week or so and jot down things that it made me feel at each track. A feeling, a color that I would associate with, and then I would make it my assignment to go shoot a roll of film representing that thing or that feeling or that object. And that kind of, I guess, gave me the foundation that we were talking about with like telling the story through the entire album. So if that is something that appeals to you as a photographer, being able to tell that entire story consistently and, you know, coherently without jumps and gaps, that's a really good exercise. And again, you don't have to share it, just do it. Just do it and critique yourself and explore. There's no right or wrong way. Like there's no one song can mean something completely different to you than it does to me. So it's just whatever it makes you feel. And by doing it more, you kind of understand what you're feeling and how you can visually represent that in your work. I guess that's my off the cuff advice.
It's really good advice. I have hosted over the years many photo walks before photo walks became commercialized, when they were just purely fun. And at every photo walk, I would start it by giving some sort of challenge to, similar to what I did at the meetup that you came to. I would give some sort of challenge to just make everybody try something different, have some fun with it, whatever. And I think going along with what you just said, a really fun challenge for people just starting out to do and try is going along with the album idea, and that an LP might have, let's say, 14 songs on it. A double-sided might have more. Film, 24 exposures, 36 exposures. If you're shooting digital, only capture 24 photos for the whole day. Yes. I'm not saying at a wedding. I'm saying just spend a day for yourself and only capture 24 to tell a story, or only capture 36. Whatever you want to do. Match an album while you're listening to music throughout the day, or match a roll of film with your digital. And limit yourself. You have to force yourself to stop, slow down, and limit yourself, and limit how many photos you can click with that shutter button. And it's a really good challenge. So
I used to do that too, actually. 2014, I tried to make it a thing. I called it Digilog. And I would limit myself to one ISO to keep it like a roll of film. and I would slap the same preset on everything, and that's it. Like, I would dodge and burn a little bit because I knew how to do that in a dark room, so I gave myself that leniency. But that was it, and I would just let it be what it was, and that was so fun. I think that's great advice too,
for sure. Awesome, Garret. This has been a blast. I love learning about your music history and how you see the world of music and photography, how it blends, and I hope that it made you think about things that you probably never thought about before. That's part of the fun.
Absolutely.
So good.
Well, I've been listening to all the episodes, and my mind is spinning with inspiration and ideas. It's a really valuable resource.
So in the show notes, I am going to share where everybody can find you on Spotify and Apple. So hopefully we'll get your listens up even more. And yeah, thank you again for chatting with me about this, and look forward to seeing you soon.
You too, man. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.